Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I will give some idea on how to write summaries. This is the part 6 of my lecture series on various parts of thesis and research communication. So as I said, today I am going to discuss on writing summaries. All the researchers, as we know that there are different parts of research article as well as thesis. These are title, abstract, introduction, methods or materials and method, results, discussion, references or bibliography, tables and figures, as well as acknowledgement. But out of all this part, summary is one of the most important part of writing a good thesis and good research communication. And because summary highlights the information in introductions, methods, results, as well as discussion. Now, a question should come to your mind. What is the purpose of writing summaries? The main purpose is to give the reader a brief or a structured overview of the study, what you have done for your MSc or say PhD or say project research work. Please try to remember to write a good summary. My friend, you must know what is important to say, and secondly, how to condense all the important information, and that should be included in your summary. And you have to remember, better you understand the subject of the research, the easier it is to write both knowledgeably and briefly. Before writing a summaries of any research article or project report or say thesis, you should give enough time to write it. Secondly, you have to scan the article first. I mean to say you have to go through the abstract, introduction, then what about the hypothesis, then materials and method, results, table, figures, and discussion. All this part should be scanned by you, okay, and it should keep in your mind before writing the summaries. You have to read the whole document in depth. Then it will help to write a very good summaries. And you have to start taking notes step by step, so that all the point, especially related to abstract introduction and other part, should not left out at the time of writing your summaries. So now I am going to discuss on a template for the journals article, that is manuscript. Okay, for this type of template can be utilized to write a good summaries for many different type of publications. Suppose you have started writing a summaries, what you have to include in the para 1. Please try to remember, in para 1, try to tell the readers what the focus of the research is and why it is interesting, and state the hypothesis or the research question. All these things you have to include in the para 1. Then in para 2, try to identify the subject and the procedures or the materials and method which were very much specific for your research work. That should be included in the para 2. In para 3, say possibly maybe para 4, try to present the variables and how it was measured, okay, how the data were recorded. You have to be very specific and try to identify the name of the measurement and a brief description of each. So all these things you have to include in the para 3. In case of para 4, try to discuss the result of the study. You must be very much specific at the time of writing the result of your observations. And try to remember to give the answer of this question, give the data, whatever you have generated, you have collected, it supports the stated hypothesis, and use the result in discussion section for this. In para 6, or it may go up to say para 8. So you have to try to write the critique of the study and try to specify what was done, okay, which was done well and what could have been improved further. And you can also include why this article or say your research work is interested you and how it related to you. At the time of writing summary, you have to try to give the answer of some of the question like, was your research is valuable for you, for your subject, for the society, or for the nation? Secondly, was the study practically helpful for the end users, for the researchers, or the fellow workers? And who is your target? That is, for whom you have done your research work. And next question is, was the study done ethically, morally, or fairly? So at the time of writing or doing a research work for your thesis or the dissertation or say your research communication, okay, you have to be very ethics. You have to follow the rules and regulation of the ethics. All the research work should be done fairly, without harming the morality of the natures or without harming the morality of the human beings or the fellow workers or the researchers. Another questions you have to try to answer: should more research be done in this area? Okay, because there is a lot of scope of doing more work related to your work. Your work may not be the end. Probably further improvement may be done, further research work may be done, so that we can come to a conclusion. That thing you have to include in the summaries. Another question you have to do, you have to remember, that is, who does the result of the study apply to? That I mean to say, your results will be applied for whom or to whom? Whether it will be benefited for somebody, so you have to target, you have to write or you have to include that part in your summary. So another question you have to try to answer: what would you recommend the next step to be in this line of research? That means I mean to say, what will be the further scope of your study, okay, in which the more worker can develop interest to give more and more answer related to the question that may arise from your research work. Suppose you have started the writing of summary, okay, so initially try to put down your pen and read all the notes to get an overview of the whole work what you did in your, say, for your research work or for your dissertation or for your, say, thesis or for your research papers. Try to eliminate the irrelevant notes, okay, drop anything that does not connect with something else in your notes. That means I mean to say the earliest taken notes are the most likely ones to be dropped. Initially at the time of going through scanning the whole material, starting from introduction to acknowledgement, some rough note you have to prepare. But at the time of finalizing the summaries, you have to drop some of the unimportant information which has taken earlier, but at the time of finalization you have to drop it down. Then try to write the first draft. For that, please try to remember this point. I have included many points. Number one, use the same order as the article itself. Secondly, announce the research question and explain why it is interesting for the readers or the researchers or the fellow workers. Next, state the hypothesis, test it. That is one of the important part. Many times I have seen all the time, researchers, students or the fellow workers, they forget to mention the hypothesis. Many times they do not know what is the meaning But at the time of doing your research work, your hypothesis must be clear. Then only you can do a good research and you can write a good summaries, you can do a good research communication. Briefly describe the methods. I mean to say, very specific method you have if you follow to complete your work, that should be mentioned. Another common method you may drop in writing the summaries for research communication or manuscript or say research article. So as already I said, briefly describe the method, what was done. Example, design of the study, how many subjects, then what they did, what the variables are and how they measured them. These are very important points you have to include in your summary very specifically. Try to describe the result. Okay, that I mean to say what you have found at the time of doing your work. Okay, and lastly, outline what the author considered the key findings of the study. That should be mentioned in the last of the summary, then and it will be more and more helpful to attract the readers. So suppose you have prepared the draft copy. Now next important point is that you have to edit it, because edit helps for completeness and accuracy of your summary. So here try to add information for completeness wherever you feel necessary. Secondly, if you understand the article, okay, you will need to cut redundant or less important informations. Many a times at the time of writing draft, we used to include some unnecessary information. That unnecessary information need to be polished at the time of finalization of this summary. That's why that is a final edition of the summary, prepared summary is utmost necessary. Next, try to stay focused on the research question at the time of writing summary. And another point, get rid of glitter in the generalities. My friend, I hope you like this video, and if so, please don't forget to subscribe, like, as well as share my channel with your fellow friends, your students or the research